Hey everybody, welcome on in. Thanks for waiting a little bit here, bearing with me. It's a fun night. It's a full night in our household. But hey, welcome on into the channel. This is WagWorksGA. I'm Jeff. You can also call me Wags. And I draw pictures. Sometimes people even say they're good, and that makes me feel nice. But hey, I'm glad you're here tonight. I hope you're having a good night so far. Happy Thursday. Happy almost weekend. Yeah, we did it. We made it. So I literally got here like a half an hour before I was supposed to start stream, and I had zero time to like to set anything up beforehand. Tonight was really fun. It was our daughter's. She's in like a musical theater production, and yeah, this was their opening night, so we got to go see it, and it was a blast, and it was fun, and all the kids did great, and it was awesome. But then yeah, getting home and having to get kids to bed, a little bit tight with stream. I probably should have said something last week. But I live in a magical world where the future, you know, beyond like a day or so, doesn't always occur to me. And that's not always the best for anyone involved. But here we are. We're here. We're going to do some art tonight. I'm just taking a moment to sip on some coffee and catch my breath a little bit. Also fun tonight, I'm testing out a slight adjustment to my stream setup. I got a new stand for my laptop. Which gives me a lot more room in my workspace, and I'm kind of liking it. So as long as it's stable, we'll see how it's going. But yeah, so while I'm just catching my breath for a second, talk a couple of updates we got going on. So anybody who has been following the stream at all, you know that I've been talking about the Kids Comics Unite group. It's a community of artists who make comics for kids. Ashley and I are a part of it. Ashley, of course, being my creative partner and wife. She's the writer. I'm the picture drawer guy. But yeah, so KCU has launched its first ever anthology. We're part of this project. We have a comic in the book, and the Kickstarter is up right now. I'm actually going to drop that link in chat. Yeah, so you can check out the project there. If you've backed it already, thank you. A lot of appreciation for that. If you haven't yet, but you like comics, I mean, it's, you know, the target audience is, it's like a general audience Pixar type feel. But it's, you know, really the comics are for anybody, but they're kid safe. It's like 29 creators, or 31 creators, 29 comics, 178 page book. The project is funded. We funded within the first 15 hours. So now we're just working on our stretch goals and kind of working behind the scenes to get everything together to get the books in people's hands. And it's really exciting. This is, I mean, we've got some very accomplished folks on the project, but some of us, like Ashley and I, this is our first time. We will be our first time holding our work in our hands as like a printed, like offset print run book. And that's super exciting. So I've been doing some interviews on stream with some of my fellow creators over the last few weeks. Because of the craziness of tonight, I didn't schedule anything for this week, but I'm hoping to pick back up and do another one perhaps next week. A couple folks I have in mind I have to reach out to. But it's been a lot of fun getting to do not just like talk about the project, but getting to know them better, hearing about their inspiration for why they do things, their inspiration for their stories in the book. It's been pretty great, and we even got to play some fun collaborative art games. If you saw last Thursday's afternoon stream with Cesar Lador, we did some drawing on Magma, and that was a pretty good time. So I will try to be better. Well, we do put announcements up on Instagram, so look for that on our Instagram. All of our socials are WagWorksGA everywhere. And if I could spell, there's our socials in the chat right there. And that's where you can find Ashley and I. That's the biggest announcement we've got going on. Core Toons is still kind of in our creative cocoon. We're getting ready to launch a sneak preview though, hopefully this month. Send that out to get folks, sorry, I'm bringing up my chat monitor here. Yeah, to let people see what we've been working on a little bit in terms of the new format. For those of you who don't know Core Toons, Core Toons is a free Substack newsletter right now. We're also working on a website full of educational short form comics for kids, largely humor with like a sprinkle of learning and fun involved. We're working on that project with some of our fellow kids comics creators, and it's been really a blast, that whole journey. So I'll keep you guys updated there as well. And I think that rounds out updates. I'm trying to think if there's anything else going on right now. Yeah, so tonight we'll be working on our GDQ piece. GDQ is Games Done Quick. It is a charity organization. They host speedrunning marathons to raise money for awesome causes like Doctors Without Borders, Prevent Cancer Foundation. They put on 2 week-long marathons every single year for like over a decade now. And the summer one is coming up July 7th through 13th. And in past, at least 4 events, except for the winter one, the last winter one, I've donated art as a prize to help raise money for the causes. And I'm working on a piece tonight for that, to donate for the Summer Games Done Quick 2025. I think the deadline there is June 29th. I've got a little time, and I'm not going to spend forever making decisions like I did the last time I did this. So that'll be good. Yes, so what I'm doing now, bringing up my Clip Studio, we're going to hop over to art. Usually I would do a warm-up, but I've spent I was running so behind. I'm going to try to just jump on into what I'm doing and maybe kind of warm up as I'm penciling out some stuff. So let's hop over to art view. Beep. As we always do. So yeah, last week we had a brainstorming stream. So I went through the games list, which is huge, by the way. It's a week-long, 24-hour-a-day event. There are a lot of video games that they are playing. So we did this exercise. Swing this down a little bit so I can have it. Where I listed out like my top, it ended up being like top 12 or 13 games that I thought would be fun or interesting or that I had a connection to for me to do a piece with. I narrowed that down to a short list of 6. And I thumbnailed those out real quick, what I might do for those pieces. And that is where we left off. So, let's check this real quick. Okay. That's good. All right. All right. Thank you. Thanks for waiting on me when I did that. Just had a kid monitor. I had to adjust real quick. Okay. So I really like all of these. The only, I think probably my least, I need to narrow down, but my goal here is just to make a choice and start penciling tonight, as opposed to, if you watched me work through the AGDQ piece for 2024, I think maybe I got it down to 6. I might have even done 8 thumbnails, and then I went through and penciled like every single one of them while I was like pushing off on making a decision, and I'm not going to do that again. So my plan is to just pick one and go. My top 3 right now are Final Fantasy IX, Super Mario 3, and Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. And I haven't done any of these series for GDQ pieces. I've definitely had a Nintendo vibe to it, though. So where I'm leaning right now is Mario 3 or Link's Awakening. Yeah, so what we'll do here is Yeah, I'm trying to think. I was, I thought I was sure what I was gonna do at first, and then I totally flip flopped on it. Yep. So what I'm doing right now, by the way, is um, setting up a new canvas where I'll start working on this, the final piece that I want. I'm gonna bring in the art. What I've done for all my pieces in the past is I've used like basically an 8x10 size, but for my canvas proportions, but in various adjustments. So actually, I've done a 16x20 at 600 DPI here, because that is plenty of DPI to do whatever I want with it. In the past, we've done donation pieces as 8x10 prints. We did a 16x16 canvas, this giant square Kirby, which was pretty fun. We did 16x20 Pokemon picnic piece. And then my favorite so far, this was actually Ashley's idea. I did a Sonic piece, but we printed it on a Sherpa blanket, and it was so soft and fuzzy, and it was amazing. So I'm trying to think of what I want to do. I haven't figured out what the final medium will be, but this general aspect ratio for the canvas has worked well. So as long as I make it with plenty of resolution, we can go bigger, we can go smaller, and that's not so bad. Don't mind me just working on the coffee. Wherever you are in the world, it's 10:30 here, so I don't want to do too much coffee too late, but I do feel like it's been a very full day, and I could use something for this. Okay. So I'm really torn right now between Mario 3 and Link's Awakening. But what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to jump in on Link's Awakening. They're both great to me, so there's no wrong choice. And I'm just going to grab my thumbnail here. Plop it down on this canvas, and it's going to be really tiny. There we go. I think we're pretty much done. Yeah, job well done, everybody. It's good. It's all good. Oh, you know what I want to do, though? So this is usually for comic stuff. You want to consider a bleed and all of like kind of having an extra range outside of where your printed matter is going to be. So you're filling beyond it, so that if there's a misalignment in the printing, like you've got a little bit extra, a little extra room, and kind of you're doing a little more art than you actually intend to be released or created. And I'm gonna do that here actually because I don't know what. Sorry, I'm adjusting this chat real quick. Because I don't know what my final medium is gonna be that I'm gonna export it in. I realized when we did the gallery wrap canvas, like that was a 2-inch border on every side. So I actually had to get the art on the flat side of the canvas to be exactly what I wanted. I had to actually go in and fill out an extra 4 inches in each dimension to make sure that it covered everything. So, and I know with the blanket, the aspect ratio is a little bit different, but we were able to kind of crop it and fit everything in frames. So still having some extra so we can adjust is going to be a good idea. So I'm going to actually adjust my canvas size a little bit. I'm going to add 4 inches on either side to allow for up to a 2-inch gallery wrap on it if we were just going to do that. So I'll do that, but I'll keep the primary art. I could draw a safety zone in here. So might just drag out a couple of rulers here to remind myself, like, okay, anything that's really important, you don't really want in here. My grid is set to 1/4 inch boxes, so I know that each big box is an inch. That makes my life a little bit easier. So I can do this. Then I'll go to my sketches layer and just expand it out a little bit so it fills up all of that. We'll call that the safe zone space. So I'll do the additional art to fill in around it, but it'll be stuff that I don't mind if it gets cropped off, and it's no big deal. So that's my plan. And in case I hadn't mentioned it before, my preferred art program is Clip Studio Paint. Sorry, I had references that I had pulled for some of these, so I'm just grabbing some of those real quick. Oh, well, this is just perfect. This is a sign, right? I start working on this piece, and what comes on but the Ballad of the Windfish from Link's Awakening. How perfect. All right, there's your sign. There's your sign. That's tiny. That's tiny, but I can build it up a little bit. So I'll make a references folder. You can't see me working the table of contents over here. I'm just doing a little bit of housekeeping. Just so it makes it easier for me to keep track of layers later as I build things out. Because, you know, things do tend to get a little bit chaotic. Yep, there's that one. Yep, that's not the one. That's not what I wanted. He's so tiny. So yeah, it's good to have a few references. What else? There should be one more at least. The official art, yeah. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I know I could just use the sub view here as well. I'm very aware of that. I just didn't feel like setting it up. I guess I'm a little bit lazy today. It's all good. All right. So my references are kind of handy. I've got my sketches in. So at this point, I think I'm pretty ready to do a second. I'm actually going to do, instead of going straight to pencils, I might do a second sketches layer just because I've expanded things so much. And this one is really rough and really tiny. So I might even just... grab that purple. All right, this is my first time that I'll be drawing on this new laptop stand, so we'll see how it does. I do need to bump up my brush size a little bit. Usually I do a pretty huge brush, but because this actual actual canvas is huge, I'm gonna need a bigger brush just to kind of stick with it. All right, I'm gonna bring this reference over just so I can be looking at it while I'm kind of going in there on in detail. Wow, that's words, guys. Words. Actually, there is a better way to do this. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. I'm going to set something up. Give me a moment. Bear with me, please. Okay, did not save reference. Let me do that. Okay, so yeah, I am literally just going through, re-pulling these images to be able to bring them into the sub view in Clip Studio because it's a little bit neater than kind of just throwing them over the top of what I'm working on. So that's what I'm doing. This will not take long. Please bear with me. Just a moment. Okay. 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 So there's my sub view. This you're actually seeing this is a Core Toons sub project that I've been working on. Don't mind that. Pardon my progress. I will do a WebP. Excellent. Great. Wonderful. All right, and so I am going to try to do this a little bit in a somewhat stylized fashion. I also realized I need to start time-lapse recording because I like to have time lapses, and it's good times. That was horrible. I didn't even mean to make that pun. I'm so sorry, everyone. All right. Amlink's ears are kind of, they are pointy, am I not mistaken? Correct. Okay. Just making sure. I'll tell you what, in a dream world, what happens is I finish this piece so fast and love it so much that I'm like, oh, I've got tons of time to do another piece. It's not gonna happen that way. I'm probably just entirely deluding myself saying it, but I would love to be able to do. I mean, really, with a lot of these, I would love to just be able to come in and do all of my thumbnail ideas, see them through to finished products. Let me write that. There you go. There's the fold on the tunic. Just a moment. Checking child monitor. Good, good. All is well. Frank is now officially a fake fan. Hey Daisy, how's it going? Welcome on in. Good to see you tonight. I hope you're having a good night so far. And to be fair, to give Frank a little bit of a benefit of the doubt, like I did start pretty late tonight, so he might have come by earlier when I was either not yet on or perhaps on stream starting soon. This really is more. I did just kind of start doing pencils. I don't know why I thought I was going to do another sketch layer, but you fell into the pit of listening to Diana Ross. You know, that doesn't sound like a bad pit. It sounds like a pretty decent pit to be in. Kind of, just to keep this from accidentally turning risque, I'm gonna go ahead and make the tunic just cover like the top portion of the knees, just cause. But yeah, Daisy, how's your day been going? Okay. Another lazy day because of rain. Yeah, I hear you on the sunny day, humid. It's almost like it's better if it would have just stayed rainy all day instead of like the sun coming out and the humidity skyrockets to like 100%. Um, Especially like in Florida, like it's awful. It is awful. If you get like an early day storm and then the sun comes out, you're just gonna start sweating as soon as you step outside, without question. That is just what's going to happen. Oh wow. Even a seasoned veteran outdoor dog was frightened by the amount of thunder. That's crazy. We had a really good storm last night and got a little bit of thunder. It was nice too because it's been really dry here. Um, super duper dry. Okay. Yeah, so that was it's gonna be one of those nights. Maybe it's time to talk to our ISP. We had spotty internet for a while, and I had to like make sure to reboot my router every day that I was gonna stream, to make sure that the connection wouldn't die out. And then we'd been using our own equipment, and then we finally bit the bullet and just said, okay, like the ISP is saying that, if we use their equipment, they'll be able to tell us what's going on. They'll be able to run better diagnostics. So we're like, okay, let's just do that. And we had great internet for a while that way. It was stable for a long time, and now for the last few weeks, like it's just been bad again. It just quit. Well, we're back again. It's gonna be one of those nights. What is? Hold on, let me check. Just checking out some of my streaming settings to make sure that I'm not. There's nothing that has changed in my OBS that's doing it, because it seems like my internet's still going, but stream is dropping. That's not good. Nope, I've got my bitrate set correctly. Yeah, I don't know. I forgot to restart my router today, so it may be we're having one of those streams where we're in and out. Did I mess with an alligator or something? I mean, they're hard not to mess with. But no, I don't think specifically. We actually had some living in the pond across from our house. Actually, I think there's still some baby gators in there. It turns out they're very cute when they're little. But I didn't mess with them, and yeah, I do not know what is the deal right now with my internet. It's been worse and worse. So that's cool. Cool times. I'm gonna do my best though. But I forgot. It was like one of the last times we were just chatting, and it just went out. I guess I'm lucky that it hung on for the interview streams that I had. But then again, I also made sure to reboot the router those days. So that's probably also got something to do with it. Oh well. We'll make the best of it. Because that's all we can really do. You know? Little baby gators do just remind me. Yeah. I mean, honestly. What's really interesting is living in a neighborhood in a place where we can actually like go outside and see them as they grow. There's a very like hard threshold after which like they go from being cute to being threatening. It happens like within a few days of growth, and you're just like, oh, you make me uncomfortable now. Okay. actually, so just continue this way. She's got kind of like the bow going on. The cicada. So like, are you talking like the standard summertime cicadas, or are you talking about like the 17-year cicadas? Okay, so like, but that's more like the normal ones, right? Those that tend to shed like, I mean, they all shed their skins. Yeah, I always think like it's kind of creepy, but it's also kind of cool. It's kind of amazing. Um, I didn't grow up with cicadas, like, or at least somehow, like I spent a fair amount of time outside as a kid. I feel like, but I did not see a lot of cicadas in central Wisconsin. Um, Wait, that is the wrong side for the thumb, Jeff. Right? Something like this, your thumb would be facing towards the front of your body. That's closer. That's closer. The periodical ones, you think they've read it? Oh, cool. Yeah. So back, we lived in DC, which they get the 17-year like periodical cicadas, um, but we weren't there during the time that they came up. Like we just missed it, I think. But like we heard stories of like from friends who had been there, friends and coworkers, like who were there the last time they came up, and they're like talking about how crazy it was. Like you could almost in some areas not walk on the ground because there were so many cicada shells or so many cicadas. Um, and then of course people who there were people who collected them because they liked to cook them, which was fascinating, and it makes sense. Oh, the skins were still wet. Oh, I don't know if I can do that. That's I've seen the dried ones, like those ones we had because we lived like right at the edge of the woods when we were in Georgia, and so and we get like there'd be the husks of cicadas just like hanging on the side of our fence posts. Um, but yeah, the husks were always like dry. I don't think I've ever seen a wet one. That's kind of disturbing. I wonder if it's a memory issue. I wonder if I'm having memory issues, and that's why the stream is cutting. Because I'm also being like, this is a pretty huge canvas that I'm working on, which is going to be fairly memory intensive. That could be. Just maybe draw the login, something like that. think this hand would need to be a little bit flatter then. Or maybe the arm angled out a bit for it to make a little more physical sense. Not much of a bug person. Oh, that is really interesting. Where there's still like the residue and stuff, and they're still a little squishy. I mean, have you seen like butterflies? Ever done like a butterfly garden? I don't think I'd ever seen them go into the chrysalis and then come out before, until we actually got the kit and like did the whole actual like, I guess, experiment, where you get the caterpillars or the eggs and they hatch, and that you get to watch like their whole kind of life cycle up until they hatch from the eggs and you release them. Which that was like releasing them was a hard day, especially for the kids. I feel like kind of redraw that, make it a little baggier there. There's currently a giant web of caterpillars in our driveway tree. Oh my gosh, I've seen those. The ones that's like just a giant, like 4-foot cocoon with like thousands of caterpillars inside of it. That, yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's a little bit freaky, honestly, but I feel like that counts. Close enough. Okay, this is probably good for a pencil drawing. Because I did this, I have a little bit more room for the ocean waves. So something like that. Yep. Turn off ruler snapping. Say that the shape of the island is going to be something like this. Ooh, we're chugging a little bit. What is happening, computer? Okay. Trying to close down a couple things to see if I can preserve a little bit of memory. I don't know if memory is even the issue. Yeah, the one thing that I did not expect about the butterfly garden, and if you ever go to a place that has like a full big like butterfly garden area, is the smell. It is butterflies, especially when they go into the chrysalis. It's honestly a bit stinkier than you would probably expect. Honestly, I was not prepared. Uh, Maybe that's a hot take. Butterflies stink. I don't know. But it's like a literal stink. I'm cool with them. They're smelly. There's so many bugs around here. Too grass. The wonders of nature observing. That was one like cool but like unexpected part of living on the edge of the woods in Georgia is we got a lot of crazy bugs. Like I had never seen scorpions until then in the wild, and we definitely had at least two in the house. And then we got like one of those rhinoceros beetles. Like we got a rhinoceros beetle that was just like hanging out on our window screen. That was pretty cool. Oh, Daisy, have you ever seen a tomato hornworm? Oh my gosh, these things, they're terrifying if you do not know they exist. I had not seen them when we lived up north, and then we moved to Georgia, and experienced them, and holy moly, they're gigantic caterpillars. Here, hold on. I'm gonna like. I feel like I need to share this. Let me just crop this a little bit so it's not everywhere. Like, all right, yeah. Like, look at these guys. These guys are ridiculous. Like, yes, it is. It looks like a real life caterpie. It does, 100%, or caterpie, depending on how you prefer to say it. But that's getting distracted. Yeah, these things, holy cow. So we grew tomatoes in Georgia, and they love those things. And so they are very strong, and they are like hard to just pull off of the branches. Like it's easier just to snip off the whole branch that they're on, because once they're on there, it is hard to remove them. And and you can hear them eating. Like I was like watering the garden, and you can like hear the crunching as they're like eating your plants. It's crazy. It is really like I can't even. I Like our first or second year that we were in Georgia, we just did like the little container garden on our deck, and so I had like a potted tomato plant. And then one day I went out there. I'm like, why are there Pokemon on my tomatoes? What is happening right now? Anyway, that was yeah. They're absolutely what Caterpie is based off of. I don't like the 4. Maybe I need to something like that. Okay, right now these are very small palm trees. So what I should do is adjust that. Wait, that is definitely not what I wanted. All right, there we go. Oh, so I can set them back just a little bit. Clip Studio is thinking. Yeah, I hadn't seen them till we moved much further south. Like we grew a lot of, maybe not a lot, but we grew tomatoes in Georgia. if I'm remembering correctly, or in Maryland when we lived there, we did not get hornworms. That's why I was so surprised when I first saw them in Georgia. Yeah. And then it gets weirder then when you start looking up like how do you get rid of hornworms, because like one of the most common ways that they do it is to plant dill, but it's not because the dill does anything to discourage the hornworms. It's because the dill attracts a parasitic species of wasp that will actually lay eggs inside the caterpillar, which will then eat their way out. Like, it's nature is so interesting. Okay, so I wanted to adjust the base so it wasn't quite proportionally as thick, because I wanted to make the overall tree bigger yet. That seems pretty good. They'd be such a great superfood for lizards. Some of the horn, like, we obviously have a whole lot of lizards here, which I think that the type that we have in our areas, like the anole, which is funny because up north, growing up, they were sold as chameleons just because they were able to change color, and apparently we don't know any better. Um, but the hornworms are bigger than like a lot of the lizards that I see around here. It's crazy. The bugs are one of the many reasons you miss having a reptile. That's very fair. Very fair. Although chickens, right? Chickens also will eat the bugs. If I'm not mistaken. I thought that they were technically another, like they had the additional benefit of pest control. Although I don't know where you're at if chickens are even an option. Your chickens are so picky. That's right, you have them. That's right. Frank has, like you and Frank have talked about this. Half of them don't appreciate the earthworms I hand them. It was really interesting. So we did a few weeks ago, like we homeschool our kids, and as part of the homeschooling, um, we went to a farm, like a dairy farm, which was cool. Like we got to milk a cow and like all sorts of awesome experiences. But like the um, the farmer there was just like, chickens will eat you if you let them. Like if you go into the chicken enclosure and you've got like a cut on your leg, and if you just let them, they will eventually just come up and start pecking at your leg, and they will not stop. They will just keep going at you, which was a little bit terrifying. Which again, explains why you don't mess with chickens in Legend of Zelda games. Or cuckoos. You know what? I was gonna be lazy and copy this. I can just draw it again. Because, I mean, come on. I might redraw this tree too anyway. Do it more like this. Okay. Oh, your finger has nearly been lost many a time. I mean, I see it when when they say like, birds evolved from dinosaurs. I can totally see that, especially when you look at their feet. It's like, yes, these are dino feet. Oh my gosh. The hens tear at your gloves like a pit bull, like thrashing their heads. Oh my gosh. That is like trying to picture that is uh it's very interesting and also kind of terrifying, but also kind of like, yeah, I feel like that checks out. Chickens, tiny T-Rexes on whom the food chain tables have been turned. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 segments on there. This one in the reference 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, we're pretty good. That feels a little better height wise. I know they're like the super chibi characters in the remake here, so the proportions are a little bit not quite what I was going for anyway. I'm kind of trying to do this in a little bit nods to their style, but also a little bit of my own. They're a bunch of metabolism machines, so I can't say I blame them. Oh, really? Holy moly, I didn't realize they would eat the grass like that, too. Well, I mean, that's kind of helpful, right? There was definitely a window of time in Georgia, like when we had an actual yard, that we were considering raising chickens. But we just kind of like the moment passed and then life got crazy. And we didn't. It would have been much harder to live where we live now with chickens, though. So in the end, it kind of worked out. Oh no! So maybe not the ideal lawn care solution. Yeah, so I have never been a super lawn care kind of person, but especially we just got really tired of it in Georgia. We were really lucky. We had something like 3/4 of an acre, which is a pretty sizable, like it's a decent sized yard. Um, it's just it's the South. There's a lot of moisture. There's a lot of sun. There's a lot of heat, and it grows a lot. And then it turns out you have to mow it once or twice every week. And I know that's not abnormal for a lot of places, but when it's a bigger yard, it just took so long. And like we didn't have like a riding mower or anything like that. So, and especially because it was a lot of like hilly kind of terrain in the yard, especially the back which was bigger. So it ended up being just like between that and weed whacking and then eventually the garden, like we're spending 6 hours a week on just outside stuff. We didn't get to enjoy outside because we were just working. Yeah, I didn't realize that chickens would leave your yard looking like a desert. That's crazy. We can make that a little bit bigger. Maybe set it back a little bit too. Clip Studio is once again thinking. Hey, I was going to turn off this. There we go. So I made these leaves a lot more. Something like that looks good. Okay. They're awful, but I love them. I mean, I'm sure on some level they appreciate that sentiment. But I get that. I mean, it makes sense, you know, because it's I don't know. There's something about that caring for it. I mean, even if whether you consider them pets or livestock, not quite. I'm not sure the word I'm looking for here, but like it makes sense. Like the feeling of like another living thing depending on you and like showing it care and love and getting to watch it thrive. It's like a little bit pet ownership, a little bit parenthood, but it's like a really special thing. Oh, I didn't. Wait. Oh, I did this as its own illustration file and not as part of the... Oh, goodness, Jeff. What are you doing? What are you doing? That's okay. All right. Sorry, I'm saving my work along the way. But, of course, I did it in a way that didn't make a lot of sense for a second. I like to use this Clip Studio page management feature to kind of hold everything together. But in this case, I decided when I created this new image to just do it on its own unmanaged file. But I can always import it. Okay. They're not exactly pets, but they're not livestock either. Rather, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. I guess livestock isn't the word. I mean, it's just farm animals, right? Like, so they're not pets, but you care for them. They produce something for you. It's kind of a mutual benefit deal. It was cool. The farm we visited, they had some of the variety that will lay like the blue eggs, which was pretty neat to see. Okay, so in this one, in the official art, they did a lot of the foliage just kind of being generic bush with some color variation with like palmy fronds sticking out along the way. Oh, that's cool. So you get brown, green, blue, and pink. Very nice. That was something that I only actually found out in like the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, that like there were all those different colors. And that's super cool. All right, so, that's an eraser. What you doing? Yep. So there'll be this kind of front area that's going to be more like this. So like kind of the beachy expanse. You'll have like a grassy. You good? Sorry, just checking on Ash. The funniest part of having all these colors is that your dad in the past refused to eat any eggs that weren't white. But he's good with it now, right? Yeah, I don't think we get the pure white eggs from the store anymore either. Used to call him Exist. I like that. All right, so since I'm penciling here, do I want to, at this point, split it? Because I know that I'm going to have kind of multiple layers to this. So how much do I want to split it up? Maybe I will. So I have a foreground pencils layer and a background pencils. So I turn that off. Okay. You know, we're doing all right for starting stream so late today. How's the weather for the most part? I mean, it's good. It's once you get used to the heat. I don't know how far north you are, but like we're already at the point that we're hitting close to 90 every day. We're up to, which is also about the point where you start getting fairly regular afternoon thunderstorms, at least over the peninsula, because you have the two sea breezes and they run into each other, and that tends to, you know, cause storms to flare. So yeah, I mean, for the next, I don't know, like, it's going to be hot for the next like 6 months. It's going to be really hot in July and August, and pretty humid. But what's interesting is that even on those really, really hot days, once the sea breeze passes and you've got that cooler air from over the water that's moved across the peninsula, it's really nice. Like it's beautiful in the evenings right before sunset. Yeah, I can't complain. There's definitely the parts of the day where it's like, don't go outside. Don't do it. But that's not all the time. Yeah, so right now, for example, we had storms roll through earlier, and we're sitting at 72. Like it was probably, I think we had a high of maybe 80. Hold on. There's ways of checking these things. Just taking a look at our hourly observations. Which actually, if you want to see, I can share that. That's easy enough to do. So yeah, check this out. Check this out, guys. Because of all the freaky weather we get. It's, in some ways though, it's really predictable in the summer because of that. So this is, at our nearest airport to Disney. It's Orlando International MCO is not far away from here. But so here's the last hourly observation. So you can see, we're sitting at 73 now. We peaked out actually not even quite 90. So we were 89 was our max for the day. It looks like, no, hold on. Heat index was 94 earlier in the day. So it's pretty hot. Yeah, so we did at some point in between the hourly observations hit 90 because here's our 6 hour max. Overnight we're getting into the low 70s. We're peaking out around 90. This is about how it goes. Sometimes it'll be 93, 95. We'll get in a spell sometimes where it's close to 100 with high humidity, and you just don't go outside during the middle of the day. The sun you will burn, essentially, is what will happen. But but then in the evening it's really nice. If you're going to the beach, it's great because then as long as you make sure to keep your sunscreen going or wear SPF clothing like for the beach, just go in the water and cool off, and it's nice. But yeah, one of my favorite things about Florida weather is the sea breeze, especially over the peninsula here. It's very reliable, and it's cool if you like those little afternoon storms, but it's not going to be the whole day. All right, I'm going to turn down the opacity here. I'm going to draw the background in a different color. I'm going to bring down my brush size a little bit. But if you are you familiar with the sea breeze at all? Not really? Okay. So the sea breeze is what happens when, first of all, like land and water heat up at different rates. So the ocean heats up more slowly than the land mass does. So as soon as the sun starts coming out, especially in the summer when the sun is direct and intense enough down here, it starts getting a lot warmer over the land than it is over the water. Warm air rises, and as it rises, it leaves a vacuum, so cool air comes in to push. And that creates like a little miniature cold front, like air mass boundary, where the cold air is coming in and doing the pushing, and air is being pushed over the top of it. And of course, as more air is being pushed over the top, especially if it's moist, humid air, that creates clouds. That starts creating, cumulus, cumulonimbus. You start getting rain. You start getting enough what they call convection, where your air is being pushed up rapidly. You get enough convection for lightning, thunderstorms. Well, this is also like one of my favorite weather things. Like I just love it. Like the fact that there's water in some places and land in some places means automatic thunderstorms. And the peninsula of Florida is a really interesting case because you have a sea breeze on both sides. And then depending on if you've got a prevailing easterly or westerly wind, one of them will be kind of stuck close to the coast and the other one will be kind of like moving across. And then inevitably what happens is around like mid to late afternoon, they'll run into each other and then it'll just like blow up into a big bunch of thunderstorms, kind of get all that energy out. And then you've just kind of got nice, comfortable air for the rest of the day, or rest of the evening, which is nice. So educational. Well, I like to share if people are interested. Yeah, it's nice. It is why Florida is the lightning capital of the US. Gonna have some kind of vegetation here. Okay. So I know in this one it looks like they've got some kind of really thick trunked palm trees in there, so I'll use some of those as well. But I'll just do a few for emphasis, and then we can kind of just shade the rest back here. Might actually, for behind the front line of trees, we'll use some of this kind of trick that they did in the official art, where you've got just kind of the generic bushy shapes with like a few palm fronds sticking out. So that can be back here. Something like that. And then obviously by the time you get to the back, by the mountain, it's not going to be so detailed that you can see the palm fronds. But yeah, say what you will about Florida. It certainly has its unique places, and yeah, we definitely get a lot of heat, and hurricanes obviously starting June 1st, official start of hurricane season. Although you can get storms a little bit earlier as well. Obviously, that's something that you need to keep an eye out for. But I like the sea breeze thunderstorms. I like our little bubble that we live in is pretty nice. I like being close to Disney. I like that we can see the rocket launches. That's pretty cool. Alligator men walk among you. I wish that would be more common. Just getting some alligator folk walking about. But yeah, it's I won't say that Florida doesn't in some ways earn, or hasn't in some ways earned, the rap it gets, because in some ways it has, absolutely. But like, I know when I told people in my office, like, oh, I'm moving to Florida, they're like, oh, why? I was like, well, okay, it's not that bad, and especially where we are, it's really nice. I feel, yeah, I don't know, it's interesting. It's interesting the rap it gets, and in some ways I get it, and in other ways I'm like, it's kind of great here sometimes. Visited that one "do not inappropriately touch" sign about the alligators. I don't know if I've seen that one. That's funny and a little alarming. So probably do like another trunk here. Won't be able to see most of it. Yeah, so some of these things, it's like I know they're behind trees for the most part. I won't be seen, but I do kind of want to give it a little area behind so that if I position things or reposition things a little bit, I'll have something there. And also, I kind of have in the back of my mind these days, it's really fun to make animations in Clip, and I might try doing that in the future. If you don't add little details that aren't going to be seen, are you even a real artist? Finally, I've made it. Thank you. It's kind of these plants that have like the layers of leaves kind of coming up out of the stem. To get some of those guys on there. Get some generic like sawgrass type palms coming in there. Okay, so if I turn this back up to full and I turn off the thumbnail. Okay, still have a little bit of draw behind there. Not bad. And then the sky too. Okay. You know, actually, Daisy, I don't think I've even seen Frank, like a notification that Frank's gone live like too recently. Maybe it was like, was it this week yet? Like, have you seen him on at all? Come to think of it. It's normal for Frank to abandon us for months at a time. No, Frank, come back. Okay, I mean, I guess that's good to know as long as if it's semi-normal, it's good. Just want to make sure he's okay. Could stream more often, and he does it for a week maximum before disappearing for 15 years again. Sounds fair. So then what we can do then is kind of, instead of making these detailed, just kind of put the outlines of the trees. And then they'll kind of fade in to the background there. Something like that. could probably even use a foliage brush. I'm just always really, I don't incorporate the foliage brushes into my workflow, and I probably could. I think there's a part of me that's like really stubborn and prideful about it, like, oh, it feels like cheating, but it's not. It's not. Especially doing comics, I've come to realize and appreciate like anything that just kind of makes your workflow a little bit easier, especially when you're making tons and tons of images. It's totally valid. Okay, that all looks pretty good to me. And then I'll do sky pencils. Let's do a nice light, which is mainly just maybe some poofy clouds and then the cool ring clouds around the windfish egg. Okay. I didn't make. I was doing them kind of like a towering cumulant nimbus, but I don't need to make them quite so threatening. It's off center a little bit. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. No, it is about. Why does it look off center then? Interesting. Oh, it's because Link is a little bit off center. That's Link and Marin are a little bit off center. That's why. Okay, scoot them just a little bit. I don't know though, because then it feels still a little bit off balance with the trees. Okay. You know, I'm a little bit afraid to curse it, but I'm really thankful that for the last chunk of time, the internet has actually decided to be stable tonight. That's a really nice feeling. I thought for sure I'd have like 5 or 6 dropouts. But we're doing okay. We're doing okay. Be careful. The Florida gods hear all. That's true, they do. They really do. But maybe if I'm just expressing thankfulness and not, you know, trying to be like, oh, it wasn't so bad, like then it's fine, right? Right? A few shells and stuff like that on the beach. Maybe I'll just add those guys in. I'm happy because despite the kind of late start to stream, I did get through these pencils pretty well, and I'm pretty happy with how it's coming out. It's like the seashell kind of thing going on. It looks like a foot. I'm moving quite fast considering my typical old man pace. I gotta say though, like, the thing with doing comics is it's a lot of pictures, right? So when I'm doing a single image illustration, it feels in a lot of ways like it comes together faster. That may not actually be the case, but it's just one image, right? So it's like all the preliminary, like the thumbnailing and penciling, those are pretty much the same, but I'm only doing it once instead of doing like 4 to 6 panels in a page. Or for an anthology comic, like I think I counted 13 panels in a page. That was a lot. We crammed a lot of story into 4 pages. But I feel like it's a little bit better pace. It's a little easier doing. Hold on a second. Where are my mod tools at? That's right, Daisy. You tell him. Okay. Got like that little bit of shore debris going on. I feel like that's okay. All right. Anyway, the point is, I guess, even if an illustration ends up being a little more detailed overall, I feel like because it's a single image and not a sequence, it definitely feels so much faster coming in and doing it. Do one more ring. I think that looks pretty good. They're always trying to sell other me's, but don't they know my elegance can't be replicated? I like it. I like that one. I'm trying to figure out if our quote functionality is here. It should be. Yeah, I haven't figured that part out yet. I should, in theory, with my stream element setup, I should have a quote spot in here, but I haven't tested it out yet, and I don't really know the syntax. But that would be a fun one to add. I mean, on the bright side, when I first started streaming, it took a while before I even started getting like the bots. So I feel like it's progress getting to the bots. Okay, so let's see. We're about 11:57. I am pretty happy with this. I feel like I am ready to call pencils done. The bots are finally considering me a worthy target. Yeah. Let's check out. Is this gonna show up? Hold on, OBS. Are you sure? No. There we go. There's the time lapse. This man has a singular chatter attack. Absolutely. I have enough presence in stream to know that, like, you know, I'm not, you know, just infinitely streaming on my own, but, you know, not such a large number that, I might be interested in, buying some followers, which I'm not. I'm not actually interested in that. But yeah. All right. So I'm gonna say, can't wait to see the inking get done eventually. Hey now. Yeah, I mean if so let's see. All right. So I'm planning on my usual time next week. That could vary if I am doing any more of the interview streams. So we'll see who I line up and when. I mean, I pretty much always stream at this time anyway, even if I do an interview stream. So at least I'll be back next Thursday at 10 when I'll pick up on inking. And if things go really well there and I actually start on time, it would be amazing to get through the whole thing, to ink everything in one go next week. Otherwise, it might be a couple, but I feel like the inking is going to be pretty straightforward because pencils is where I pick out most of my detail. And this is like, I may make some tweaks here, but this is pretty good, in my opinion. So I might be able to get this whole thing inked next week, which would be amazing. And then just lay down colors, actually finish something ahead of schedule, and not be like cramming in last minute improvements. That would be amazing and very, very not Jeff-like. But we'll see how that goes. But depending on if life chills out a little bit and I have a chance to schedule a KCU interview, if those people are available at this time, then I might not ink and I might do an interview then. Otherwise, keep your eyes peeled for I might go live with an interview sometime other than that. But cramming improvements in at the last minute is the best strategy. It is, because that's when you've got the motivation, right? I don't know, sometimes it feels like it's not until I have that upcoming deadline that my entire brain becomes available to me, which is a weird feeling. I'm writing a journal article right now in my day job, and I'm not a scientific writer. I write like I talk. Gotta go fast, as the blue hedgehog says. Absolutely. I love that they work those quotes into all the movies. They work that quote into the movies for sure. But yeah, and some days it's like I can just sit my eyes and brain in front of it as many times as I can, and it's just always a slog to make progress. But trying to get through it. It's good times. Good times. But yeah, so keep your eyes posted for some Let's Go Anthology interviews. Again, I think I'd like to do a couple more before the Kickstarter ends. The campaign goes through May 25th. So we're about halfway through now, and we're now about sitting at about 200% of our goal, which is a pretty incredible place to be. So thank you if you are someone who has contributed. The support means so much to us. If you're watching this and you haven't, that's okay too. I'm just glad to have you here. That's also awesome. But if you like comics, especially comics that are suitable for kids, and you're looking for a collection of a variety of them centered around a singular theme created by a variety of comics professionals, you should go check out the Kickstarter for Let's Go, a kids comics anthology, right here at the link that I just dropped in chat. But yeah, that's a plug. Anyway, yeah, so keep an eye open for that. Otherwise, for sure, back next week. If I don't have an interview happening at this time, I'll be doing more on this piece. Yeah, Daisy, good seeing you too. And thanks for the conversation and hanging out. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a good night too. Yeah, so my schedule is Thursdays 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. You can find Ashley and I on our socials here. Thank you, Frank, for setting all these commands up. I really appreciate it. You have made my life easier, friend. And yeah, I think that covers it. That's everything, guys. Yeah, if you're watching this on, well, thank you if you're here watching live. I really appreciate it. If you're lurking, this is a lurk positive environment. Always happy to have you here. Never gonna call you out if you just want to hang out and watch. And likewise, if you're watching the video, the VOD on Twitch or on YouTube, thank you for supporting me in that way. Feel free to drop a follow if you're here on Twitch, or a subscribe and a like over on YouTube. Leave a comment if you'd like. Let me know what you thought. But otherwise, I'm just happy to share this time with you. This is a very fun, relaxing time for me. So that covers everything, I think. So thank you all once again. I hope you have a good night. I hope you have a good week. Bye.